Okay, let's see if we're live everywhere. We appear to be, but it has not caught up yet on my end. There we go. Okay, that is caught up. And people are starting to slowly jump on as we... Okay, good. It is in all spots. Excellent. And people are jumping on. Let me see if my... Good, it's working. It's always a little bit of a gap between jumping on and people commenting. Excellent. Utah, Ogden, Utah. I've been to Ogden, Utah several times. Iowa, North Carolina, Queens. Welcome, Sacramento. Okay, good. Anybody remember the email for health questions is gethealthy@drjasondean.com. Good. Washington, Montana, the north. Long Island, yes. Illinois, welcome. Okay, everyone's jumping on tonight. Good, excellent. We are on. Good. I'm gonna jump into this tonight because we're gonna be doing a shorter night because I have a very tired little girl that would like to get some sleep, and so I'm going to help her get some sleep tonight. So I'm gonna pack as much as I can into probably about 30 minutes-ish tonight. I hope that's okay, everybody. And then we'll maybe extend a little longer this week as we go on, because there's a lot of stuff going on. But Dr. Jason Dean, Revolution Network, your source for health, freedom, and knowledge. Welcome everybody tonight. A Monday night. Q is going off all weekend, and you've been seeing that. And if you're following Twitter, you now watch the Anon, so you can break down some of the things that are actually occurring. And it makes more sense what Q is kind of saying, and everything's ramping up, obviously, as the Flynn stuff is happening, and now some of the Comey stuff as well. So we're going to dive in really quick from an economy standpoint. So tonight we're going to talk about economy a little bit more, and then we're going to end off with a little bit of big pharma and teach you some history on big pharma that you may not have known and how it ties in to this whole cabal, deep state monster that it is. Now, first of all, everyone keeps asking, okay, now this is kind of a formula here, and it's a problem and how we find a solution. So states are opening up. Florida opened up as we drove in this morning. There was more people on the road. That's fantastic. And the fear is kind of, I don't know how it is in every state, but the fear in Florida is kind of starting to rise up and come off a little bit more. Doesn't mean it's gone, but you can feel it's a little better. People aren't as panicked. I don't know other states. I've talked to people from Texas, and it seems like just business as usual for the most part. Now, we are in May. How is it, by the way, May 4th? This is crazy, right? Time is flying by. We have a very fast-moving 2020. But you heard the president last night if you watched it. I'll go into a couple things that were said last night. But first of all, he talks about a red-hot summer into the winter, or into the fall and then the winter from an economy standpoint. So this is what it looks like. Now, I was watching some reports tonight. I was watching X22 as well. And this is where it comes in. So all manufacturing being brought back to the United States. Now, you guys, when we watch what's going on during the day, whether it's a press conference or everything else, we see like the public relations part. I don't know if people know that. We see when the president comes out, or you see the news, the press corps, whatever it is out there, whether it's a president or it's just the press, you're seeing the public relations part of politics in America, etc. You're not seeing all the stuff going on behind the scenes, meaning the manufacturing being built back up, everything being brought back to the U.S., the trade deals that are being worked on. So we're going into phase 2 of the U.S.-China trade deal. And you'll say, well, wait a second. We don't like China. Why are we making trade deals with them? We can not like a country and not necessarily get along with them and still have trade deals. Like, right? In the past, the problem is if we didn't like somebody, we had to go to war with them. We didn't like them. I mean, the Cold War, the Russia, the Cold War, that it was threatened all the time. It didn't mean we were going to war right away. Obviously, we can not like somebody but still come to the table with them. And so we are building trade deals, U.S.-China coming up for phase 2. But what we're doing is we're bringing back, and this is fascinating because this plays into the pandemic. And it might play into what happens later on in the end of the year, towards the fall, when they say that the pandemic or COVID could come back around. Now, some of you are saying, well, how could that happen? First of all, who knows what they're going to try to do? Second of all, could you have a rise back up? A little bit, yes. But they're bringing manufacturing back to the U.S., and this is the big part, is medication and drug manufacturing and medical supplies. Now, I will be the first to admit I am not a fan, obviously, of medications and big pharma and all that stuff. Obviously, there's a time and a place for life-saving medications. Yes, totally agree. However, they're going to bring back the introduction of manufacturing of our own medication to the U.S. That is a big thing. So even though during COVID we borrowed from India, we are not going to do that going into the future. They're going to manufacture everything here. So what they're saying is the big boom in the economy is going to be where the president unleashes the local economies and the local manufacturings, and all the plants come back up. So that's why you'll actually probably see a faster economy now than you did in the previous couple of years, because keep in mind, the previous 3 years, we've had the Dow hit almost 30,000, and that was all globalized market. That was actually, pulling stuff in, importing it. Versus now, this will be the first time we actually have a local or national economy that's exploding the market. So you might see the market go even higher because we have so much nationalized production. Also, from what I've read, we have brought the mining of rare earth minerals back to the United States of America, which is also a very important thing because that has not always happened in the past. If you didn't know, there's a few movies and documentaries on it. I don't know the names of those off the top of my head, but I know they're there. Also, you can go Google this, where they steal minerals. We have stole minerals ourselves and other countries have stole minerals from Africa, mostly South Africa areas, where unfortunately we go in, as well as other countries go in, and we suppress the populations there, hence the Bill Gates of the world, population control in the African nations, to get their minerals, to get their diamonds. The diamond industry is essentially a big criminal syndicate. Now, if you're wearing a diamond, my wife also wears a diamond. I'm not saying you're a bad person. I'm just saying you have to know where this stuff comes from. If I did it all over again and I was re-engaged to my wife tomorrow and I had to buy another ring, I probably would not get a diamond. Not because I don't think they're beautiful, but I would prefer to get it from a different way. So, interesting. Now, funny part going into, I actually just saw somebody say something about get David Icke. I'm working on that. However, very fascinating. David Icke is being banned everywhere. Now, the only thing I don't like about David Icke is I wish he was more positive, obviously. But everything else I love about David Icke. He is so dead on so many things. It's unbelievable. However, he got banned, and I may get this wrong, but he got banned, I believe, off of Twitter. He definitely got banned off of YouTube. Maybe it was YouTube and Facebook he got banned from. But David Icke went on London Real. Again, I think this is his third or fourth time. And I think they did 1 million live streaming and download to start, which is still going. And they didn't put it on YouTube, so it's not going to be taken down. But if you do not look at David Icke, you're missing out. And I guess a lot of people get all panicked and worried and like they don't like it because he talks about reptilians and everything else. You have to understand what he's talking about when he talks about it and go in and break it down. And let me tell you, he is not wrong on the reptilian stuff, but you have to understand what he means by it. I'm not going to take all the glory away from him. Go watch his stuff. He divides it out much different and much better than I'm going to kind of separate it out for you. But David Icke is pretty much a genius. So keep an eye on him, but he has been banned from most social media networks. You have to go to his website, go buy his books. That's where he really, really separates it all out and is fantastic. But they would not ban somebody unless they were telling a lot of the truth, okay? So even if, people said David Icke is controlled opposition, again, I don't know if he is or not. I don't know if Alex Jones is or not. Everyone can have their opinion on that, but no one actually knows for sure except for them and maybe the people who control them, if they do, if they're controlled opposition or not. So Uh, it is what it is. Anyway, David Icke's getting banned, meaning he is probably telling a lot of truth. So, moving on. Over the weekend, there was an ex-CIA operative. His name is actually Brian Dean Wright. I don't know if you saw this. I believe it was on Fox News. I caught the clip. I didn't watch the whole thing. He is a former CIA operative. There's a article up right now over it. He said he called on national television. He called FBI director and CIA director John Brennan and James Comey, former directors, obviously. He said on national TV that they were both traitors and that they should get the death penalty. Do you realize the magnitude when a former CIA operative calls out Comey and Brennan on national TV, and I believe it was Fox News, saying that they were traitors and there should be the death penalty? And not only top of that, he doubled down. He said, I'd love to see the death penalty, and boy oh boy, I tell you, if I could flip the switch myself, I'd do it. Those are some powerful words from a former CIA operative talking about James Comey and John Brennan and the death sentence and being traitors. So keep an eye out. This is the thing, and I think Hugh talks about this as well as President Trump has talked about this, is at the very high levels of the FBI and CIA, there are some really bad people. However, amongst the other people in the CIA, FBI, and all the other three-letter agencies, there are really good people. And these good people do not like what have happened to their organizations. So there's a lot of times even I bang on these three-letter organizations. When I say three-letter organizations, I mean FBI, CIA, NSA, FDA, NIH, HHS. So the people at the top running the show, not good people, very bad people. However, within the organizations, you have a lot of good people who are actually trying to do good things, who are trying to help the public. They believe they're actually going to work every single day for public service. So we don't want to blast all of them. However, someone like this gentleman who was a good person knows exactly what they did and said he would be willing to do what he said he'd be willing to do because he's that upset over it. So very fascinating. Now, last night, you may or may not have seen the President Trump town hall that started with him. It was at the Lincoln Memorial. Started with him, and then Vice President Pence and then Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin came in. They answered a couple questions. There's only a couple things I'll take away from this. I watched part of it. It was very hard to find, actually. But everyone is panicking about him talking about vaccinations. So a couple, and when I say this, I'm not covering for the president, obviously, because I am in the same boat you are. I do not want mandatory vaccinations. I don't even want vaccinations personally myself. That's a whole other story. So I'm in the same boat as you. However, I have to believe that when he talks about vaccinations, he's doing what is called an optics or public relations play, meaning if you are watching this right now, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Periscope, if you're watching this, guess what? You're not his market. You're not the president's market. And keep in mind, the president knows marketing very well. He knows public relations very well. You are not his market. For example, you're already either going to vote for him or you're on the side of the Patriots, even if you don't vote for him, right? You're on the side of knowledge and information, etc., right? However, his market is the American sitting at home right now who is a patriot and who is a Trump supporter and is a conservative or Republican or even libertarian, but they are still blind to what is going on. They know that there's something wrong, but they do not know what I've been talking about. They do not know what you guys are talking about. They do not know any of this information, right? And that's 99%. Keep in mind, you and the other ones like us who are watching myself, watching the Robert Scott Bells of the world, watching all these people, right? You're still only 1% or less of the people, right? So 99%, 98%, whatever that number is, of even diehard people that are going to vote Trump in red in November are still the people who are scared to death in the media right now. They're scared of the virus. They're scared of getting sick. They're scared of dying. That is his market. He has to market to that public. On top of that, one of his big segments is baby boomers. Those people are deathly afraid of what's going on right now, for the most part, right? So I have family members who are baby boomers. They understand what's going on, but the majority do not, and they're afraid. So he has to talk about a vaccine because the majority of the public and the majority of the United States still think that vaccines are the greatest gift that humanity God could ever give you. Right? They believe that. They think that. They believe that vaccines have eradicated all diseases, which is complete BS, but that's what they believe. That's what they see. So when he talks, he has to talk about that. If the President of the United States came out last night or tomorrow and said, vaccines are a scam, they're terrible, we're not going to have them brought to market, blah, 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 he would lose his election overnight. And now many of you would say right now, no way, people would follow him to hell right now, no matter what he did. Not true. There are certain things he can still not say, or else he would not be elected. So you have to understand that. If people are going to be woke up to this, it's going to happen the next election cycle. And by the way, I've dropped names before, but there's people that I know inside that are talking to him, that are telling him about the vaccines. He knows about them. So whether and this doesn't mean vaccines are going to go away forever. It doesn't even mean in the next 2 years vaccines are just going to go away, because you have a lot of people who are still tied into that programming. So you might get better made vaccines, you might get cleaner vaccines, things like that. But if they're just going to go away, even me, who wants all that to occur, I understand that this does not mean the vaccines are going to be eradicated off the face of the planet in the next 4 years and everything's going to go back to hunky-dory normal. That's not reality. On top of that, very fascinating, Dr. Judy, I believe it's Mikovits. I don't want to pronounce it wrong, but I probably am. She actually tweeted out today that the president has seen her talks and her interviews, and he knows what's going on. So keep that in mind as well. He is getting information. He knows what's happening. The other thing about the vaccine that he talked about last night was he said he preferred, this is very important when I say the president talks in code, this is what I mean. He said it's very important that we find therapeutics before the vaccine. Now, therapeutics could be medications, but therapeutics could be other things as well. So I think it's very good that he said things like, well, I'd rather also have a therapeutic before the vaccine gets here. That means, and by the way, he has never said anything mandatory. And for any of you out there who are pumping on the gas or the brakes of this whole mandatory vaccine, you are protected in a way, okay? I understand that right now there's a state of emergency and we're under quote-unquote medical martial law. However, you don't just get to bypass the Constitution of the United States and put mandatory vaccines on the entire country. One, not going to happen because it's actually not legal or ethical. Two, you will have an uprising so fast that your head will spin. Even the people who are for vaccines at this point know that this is a globalist play. So stop panicking on this. And keep in mind, even if the president did an about face and pivoted and went completely against us on this issue, even if he did that and he said mandatory vaccines, it's happening tomorrow, keep in mind, you and I are all awake. Even though I support our president, as I've said before, if he about faces on us, I already know and I'm ready to act on that, okay? So don't panic. Just be ready. If you're prepared and ready with the knowledge, you'll be ready for whatever happens, okay? And I've said this before as well. I can support the president. I can support the military. I can support all this stuff. But if things change in an instant, you have to be ready to change as well, okay? So I will push back just as much as you guys if necessary, all right? Yes, so there's that whole issue. Other than that, the questions he got were garbage questions, just like we knew he would. He got completely garbage questions from people who and keep in mind, Fox is just as crappy as the other channels out there. I know people watch it because it's more conservative, and yes, it is more conservative, right wing. So like, if I was to watch something, I would go towards that direction. But they're just as crappy as the rest of them. They have a couple decent pundits who are at least more liberty minded. But it's a junk channel. The questions were terrible. They were set up. Some of them were very liberal. Some of them were conservative. But in general, they tried to set them up several times on questions that I saw. I didn't watch the whole thing. But it is what it is. I mean, remember, just because they fly an American flag on the channel and they have a couple people who are conservatives, guess what? They're still funded by Big Pharma. They're still funded by the cabal. They're still funded by the deep state. They're still a garbage channel. And yes, I have a ton of friends who are Fox junkies, but it's a garbage channel. Now, it's not as garbage as CNN. CNN is complete trash. Don Lemon went on a rant, I think, yesterday about how Michelle Obama was so much smarter and better than Melania, and that's why President Trump went after Obama. Like, I actually watched it for 2 minutes because it was actually hilarious. I looked at it as comedy because he's so MK Ultra'd. It's not funny. I mean, the amount of money these guys must have be getting paid to talk like this, it was completely hilarious. Now, I want to shift over to something that I have known for some time, but I wanted to let you guys know because you can go and research down these deep, deep rabbit holes, okay? But Benjamin Fulford put out some information today, as he does every single Monday, and I'm going to give you some data points. Now, I'm going to let you go read this. I'm not saying all of these are 100% accurate, but they're also very fascinating, and I know some of them are deadly accurate. But he talks about some of the things being uncovered in the fact that that the Nazis who left Germany did not just die and go away. They actually came over to America. It's called the Fourth Reich. Go look that up. I've been yelled at for posting that in the past, but I don't care. It is what it is. This is well known. The scientists came over from Germany. It is very, very possible and most likely that Adolf Hitler actually did not die the way they said he died, and that he actually lived for a long time, I think in either South America or something like that. There's a lot of evidence to that. But here is a list of people who are connected to the deep state and how they are connected, okay? Now, again, go look these up. I'm not saying they're all 100% correct, but I know of some of them for sure, and other ones seem to make sense. So he said, the governor of Michigan, Whitmer, used to work for George Soros, which I actually read that last night before I even saw this. California Governor Gavin Newsom is Nancy Pelosi's nephew. That is true from what I've researched. Now, here's one. I do not know if this is 100% true, but it would make a lot of sense. So don't yell at me if you find something different. I'm just giving you his journalism. This is Nancy Pelosi. He says is. I'm going to say could be because I don't want you yelling at me. Nancy Pelosi is Hitler's niece. So there you go. Adam Schiff's sister is married to George Soros' son. Now, I looked that up. It seems to be real, or it seems to be factual. But again, look it up for yourself. John Kerry's daughter is married to a mullah's son in Iran. That is correct. Hillary's daughter, Chelsea, is married to George Soros' nephew. That is correct. ABC News executive producer Ian Cameron is married to Susan Rice, Obama's former national security advisor. That is correct from what I understood. CBS President David Rhodes is the brother of Ben Rhodes, Obama's deputy national security advisor for strategic communications. I did not look that one up. Some of these I haven't looked up, but ABC News correspondent Claire Shipman is married to Jay Carney, who's former Obama White House press secretary. ABC News and Univision reporter Matthew Jaffe is married to Katie Hogan, who is Obama's former deputy press secretary. ABC President Ben Sherwood is the brother of Elizabeth Sherwood, Obama's former special advisor. And last but not least, CNN President Virginia Mosley is married to Tom Nittis, former Hillary Clinton deputy secretary. So, and I guess the list goes on and on. There's a whole list on it. So that's a small piece. I've seen lists this long of people connected to administrations. And so, yes, Angela Merkel is supposedly Hitler's daughter. I've seen that many places. I've never been able to confirm it 100% necessarily, or like, oh, that's solid. But I've seen a lot of sources pointing to that direction. So just so you know, the entire system is rigged against you and I. And I'm hoping that this great awakening is lifting the entire veil off of this whole crap show, as we call it. Keep in mind, by the way, The Wizard of Oz. Do you know The Wizard of Oz is completely designed around this whole thing? Now, just so you know, for example, where do you think the idea for Dorothy's red ruby slippers came in. Now, I'm not going to go down this road here because you guys can do this on your own, but go look up the red shoe cult and you'll know why they gave a little girl, Dorothy, those same exact shoes. Don't think because it's a cute little story that it wasn't all set up, okay? And now on top of that, at the end, the wizard is, okay, so there's this big smoky thing with this like godlike wizard talking to everybody, right? And you're to think that that is God, that is the wizard, that is the man from Emerald City who is going to like tell us everything, and he's going to be the whole whatever, right? Guess what? Smoke and mirrors illusion. The guy is behind the green curtain, running the whole show, making them scared to death. Does it sound like the same thing we're in? Yes, we're actually literally pulling back the curtain and the veil of all the now, I'm actually laughing because I see some of the comments coming in. You guys did not know about the Wizard of Oz. Yeah, the Wizard of Oz, it's Hollywood, baby. That's what they did. Sorry I ruined the Wizard of Oz. It is a great movie, but it is, yes. The red shoes, yeah, and then Emerald City with a fake god, or their fake god, who was this smoke and mirrors, and then behind the curtain is the guy or the people who are running the whole puppet show. So there you go. That is how it actually works. I didn't know I was going to go to the Wizard of Oz tonight, but I'm glad that was brought up. Okay, moving on. 2 more things before the end of the night off, okay? So the first one is I'm going to here. Now, I'm going to try to run through this really fast because I am short on time tonight, just because I'm going to go ahead and help take care of my daughter tonight to get to sleep. But the first one is I want to go over really quickly regarding money, and I'm going to name to you the list of things on NESARA. Now, I am not fully through the whole NESARA research project. There's a lot more to go, but I'm going to give you some basics tonight, okay? And I know some people are going to ask me, I get this video all the time, is NESARA and GESARA the mark of the beast? I do not know. I do not fully believe that, but I'm also still skeptical, so I'm not saying that I do or don't believe it. It requires more work to look at and understand. I'm just going to go through some of the basics tonight so you'll understand what could be happening. Because as I watch more videos and more research, a lot of people are bringing this up with blockchain and crypto. So I just want to tell you, okay, I'm going back to the Constitution on this right here. I've been looking at this today, all right? Now, the first one, this is regarding money, okay? The first one is, this is, I'm gonna give you a, sorry, I lost the page here. I'm going to give you a, so this is Article 1, excuse me, Article 1, Section 8 of the U.S. Constitution. The Congress shall have power to lay out and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excises to pay the debts and provide for the common defense and general welfare of the United States. But all duties, imposts, and excises shall be uniform throughout the United States. To borrow money on the credit of the United States. Now, to borrow money on the credit of the United States. That does not mean on the credit of the Federal Reserve. That means on the credit of the United States, okay? Not the original one. Or not the Federal Reserve, I'm sorry. To regulate commerce with foreign nations and among several states and with the Indian tribes. To establish a uniform rule of naturalization and uniform laws on the subject of bankruptcies throughout the United States. And this is the key one that I wanted to show here, was to coin money, regulate the value thereof, and of foreign coin, and fix the standard of weights and measures, okay? So very, very important to provide for the punishment of the counterfeiting securities and current coin of the United States, okay? So very important, meaning the Treasury is to print the money, okay? Now, this is the other one I posted today, and I'm going to talk about really quickly. This one, let me find it again because I lost it. Section 4. Here we go. This is Amendment 14, Section 4 of the U.S. Constitution, okay? Now, this is the one I posted earlier today. This one says, the validity of the public debt of the United States authorized by law, including debts incurred for payment of pensions and bounties for services in suppressing insurrection or rebellion, shall not be questioned, meaning don't question the stuff we have to handle on our own. But neither the United States nor any state shall assume or pay any debt or obligation incurred in aid of insurrection or rebellion against the United States, or any claim for the loss or emancipation of any slave, but all such debts, obligations, and claims shall be held illegal and void. Now, what I get out of that, and this is, and I'm not saying I'm 100% correct on this. This is just my research and study for myself, but I wanted to bring it up to you guys, is that we did not set up the Federal Reserve as you and I. The public, the citizens did not. It was snuck through Congress, meaning I believe, based on this, that you could wipe away the debt of the Federal Reserve Bank because this exact one. But neither the United States nor any state shall assume or pay any debt or obligation incurred in aid of insurrection or rebellion against the United States. Now keep in mind, when this says the United States, this is talking about the United States of America, which is our correct United States, not United States of America Incorporated. That's the Federal Reserve. I personally believe, and you could call me incorrect. If somebody has more information, I'm more than willing to look at it. I could be wrong. I believe that allows us and the president to wipe away the debt, okay? Because the Federal Reserve is technically illegal. They took over us and they put a debt upon us that we did not agree to, which would allow this to wipe it out. That's what he talks about, Jubilee. Now, I'm going to slide away from this and I'm going to tell you about NESARA. Now, NESARA was actually, it's called, this one doesn't have it, so I can't tell you. Okay, the National Economic Security and Reformation Act. This was supposedly brought up in 2000 with Bill Clinton, President Clinton, but not signed. I don't know if that's all true. I have not looked into all that. But what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go through the bullet points of what NESARA says. Now, this is not my support of NESARA. This is not me saying it's okay. This is not me saying anything. I am just reporting this to you, okay? This is NESARA, all right? Forgives credit card, mortgage, and other bank debt due to illegal banking and government activities. Abolishes income tax. Abolishes the IRS. Creates flat rate, non-essential, new items only sales tax revenue for government. Increases benefits to senior citizens. Returns constitutional law. Establishes new presidential and congressional elections within 120 days after NESARA's announcement. Monitors elections and prevents illegal election activities or special interest groups. Creates new U.S. Treasury currency called rainbow currency, backed by gold, silver, and platinum precious metals. Returns constitutional law to our courts and legal matters. Initiates new U.S. Treasury bank system in alignment with constitutional law. Eliminates the Federal Reserve System. Restores financial privacy. Restrains all judges and attorneys in constitutional law. Ceases all aggressive U.S. government military actions worldwide. Establishes peace throughout the world. Initiates first phase of worldwide prosperity distribution of vast wealth, which has been accumulated for many decades. Releases enormous sums of money for humanitarian purposes. Enables the release of new technologies such as alternative energy devices. Now, I will repeat. I only told you that to give you information. I'm not saying that that is 100% what it is. I'm not even saying it's good or bad. I'm just letting you know what it says, because I usually have people that jump all over me calling it the mark of the beast. It's too good to be true. It's really globalization. It's digital wallet. It's digital money. It's bad. It's bad. That's what I usually get. So I am just telling you what it is, because it's very possible that we're going in the direction of something very similar to this, because that would be a jubilee, okay? Again, it obviously sounds really good, but with anything, we have to be skeptical. We have to understand everything that's involved. It's not just, by the way, the law is not just that. That's just a bullet point summary of it, okay? So please do not send me messages freaking out that I am promoting NESARA or I agree with it or anything like that. That's not what I'm doing. Making that very abundantly clear. I'm only saying this over and over again, not to annoy you, but because you should see the amount of messages I get based on this, telling me that I am promoting a new world order, and I'm promoting some alien agenda, and I'm promoting a non-spiritual agenda. I can name the things, a list of things that people slam me over anytime I say the word NESARA. That is not what I'm saying. I'm simply saying that's what it says. There you go. Now, before I end off tonight, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about, I'm going to make this brief, and I'll go into it again later. I'm going to take you through essentially how Big Pharma knocked out natural healthcare. And I've talked about this a little in the past, but I'm going to go a little deeper tonight, okay? There's a guy named John D. Rockefeller. He was living from 1839 to 1937. He was an oil magnate. He was also America's first billionaire and obviously made a lot of money, okay? By the turn of the 20th century, he controlled 90% of all oil refineries in the United States through his oil company, Standard Oil, which many of you may have heard of. This was later broken up because it was a monopoly. This is where antitrust laws popped in, and he was one of the first ones to originally get hammered on this, okay? And yes, I'm going to talk about some reports in this, okay, that people are commenting on. Now, this is the evolution of Standard Oil, just so you know. And I can post this link, that's not a problem. So Standard Oil in 1870, okay, founded by John D. Rockefeller. Now, it went to Standard Oil of Kentucky, Standard Oil of California, Standard Oil of New York, all these different ones, okay? Now, over a period of time, it had to be broken up because they were a monopoly, right? But they really weren't broken up because Rockefeller had all the politicians in his pocket. So you will know this today as, this is Standard Oil today, Chevron, ExxonMobil, BP, and Marathon. And those might have changed because that could have been as far back as 2010 to 2015. So they might have even changed since then. But I'm going to send this link up right afterwards because this link shows exactly how they merged and broke apart, okay? Now, at the same time, around 1900, scientists actually discovered petrochemicals and their ability to create chemicals from oil. See where we're going with this? The first plastic was called Bakelite, okay? It was made from oil in 1907, and they also, at that same time, scientists at the same time were discovering vitamins, okay? And they found out that they can make pharmaceutical medications and drugs from oil. Yes, we've talked about this, all right? Now, this is where the Rockefellers wanted to take over the entire country and the entire world, all right? They knew that they could patent petro or oil products and make a giant ton of money, okay? There was a problem with this. At this time, natural and herbal medicines were very popular in America. Keep in mind, Abraham Lincoln in the Civil War, they had homeopathic remedies given to the soldiers, and President Lincoln actually had a homeopathic and a natural health doctor. The Queen of England, still to this day, as one of her doctors is a homeopathic either doctor or PhD, something along those lines. The elite know exactly what they're doing, okay? They know what they want. So he needed to get natural health out of the way to be able to plug oil into everything, okay? So this is what he did. He found a way to get around the whole problem, and it's called problem reaction solution. You may have heard of that before, okay? He went to his buddy, who is Andrew Carnegie. Okay, I'm going right from this. Okay, Carnegie was monopolizing the steel industry. Okay, they were all doing monopoly things. They were monopolizing industry, so they were the only one. Okay, they actually found a guy whose name was Abraham Flexner. He traveled around the country and reported on medical colleges and hospitals. They created something called the Flexner Report. The Flexner Report, okay? This was the birth of modern medicine. A lot of my friends who also do shows like mine talk about this as well, okay? They needed help with this. So to help with the transition and change the minds of doctors and scientists, Rockefeller gave more than $100 million to colleges, hospitals, and founded a philanthropic front group called the General Education Board. Okay, they set this whole thing up. But in a very short period of time, using that report and all their public relations, medical colleges were streamlined. All students were learning the same thing, and medicine was all about using patented drugs. And it's literally, and I'm going to post this, okay, so you can see the rest of the thing. But this is exactly what happened today. This is why you have generic meds and you have patented meds, okay? Because Big Brother, Big Pharma, or Big Oil is still running the entire show. It's so funny. So last night, I was talking about a patient with my family because I'm married to a doctor. I'm a doctor. My mother-in-law is a retired registered nurse over 40 years, and my father-in-law is a hospital administrator retired. So everyone is in the healthcare world. So we talk about some different patients. We never use names. We just talk about patients' cases. And I had a patient come in over the phone about 3 days ago who was on a certain medication for something completely opposite of what she actually had a problem with. And someone said, why would they use that medication for that? That doesn't even make sense. Doesn't make any sense at all. And I said, because the doctor doesn't even know anymore. Your doctors, your medical doctors out there, the majority of them don't even know the medications they're giving anymore. Do you know how they give medication out to a patient? The drug rep who comes in to sell them the medications tells them what to give for what problems. Your medical doctor actually at the end of the day does the same exact thing that I do. When I have a patient that comes in with a brand new medication that I haven't seen before, or they come in with a medication that is aligned to a health problem that they don't actually have, you know what I do? I go over to Google or I go over to DuckDuckGo or whatever it is, and I type in the medication and it pops up for me so I can find out what is that medication doing. It's a brand new medication, or why are they using this medication for that problem? And I have to find out what they're doing and what this medication does. And medical doctors do the same thing. Now, I don't have to give medication all day long, so I actually know what my whole food and herbal remedies do, my homeopathic remedies. I actually know what they do. The medical doctor, now some medical doctors are smart and they actually do research, and I appreciate that. But the majority of them are only parroting what the pharmaceutical rep told them. I actually have a former pharmaceutical sales rep who I can bring on for an interview. Maybe I'll reach out to him this week and say, hey, let's get on, let's talk about this. Let me know if you guys would like a former pharmaceutical sales rep who knows how the whole system works. He'll come on and he'll actually talk about exactly how they did what they do. And he is now into natural health. He is no longer with them, but he knows he was paid off to pay doctors off. And he will tell you that directly to you guys and admit everything he did. And he will tell you exactly how it works. And he will tell you exactly why he's not in that system anymore. So that is called the Flexing Report. That was the Rockefellers. That's what they did. And that's why you have the medical system you have today, because they make tons of money off the oil industry. So I hope that helps. Good. Now, guys, I am a little bit over time, and I want to get my stuff done and hang out with my daughter and go to bed. So, not that I don't love you guys, but do me a favor. I'm going to get about 2 or 3 questions I'll answer real quick. So bring those in, and I will answer them to the best of my ability. I hope this helped you tonight. A little bit different angle tonight, but I wanted to let you know about this different stuff as we dive deeper into this information, okay? So let me know your questions. I'll take a couple of them, and then we will call it a night. By the way, check out Dr. Cordy. He was on Robert Scott Bell's show today, did a fantastic job, and hopefully he goes even higher with his hashtag megaphone marine and hashtag megaphone vet. Excellent. Okay, let me see if you have a couple questions here. Do military docs have pharma reps too? I would imagine so. I would guess so. The problem with the military right now is they are vaccinated to the nth degree. It's really, really horrible. My buddy Glowacki's on here. I love you, Brad. You're amazing. Your family's awesome. I appreciate everything you do. Okay, let's see here. Couple questions. I want to know about Tesla, if you can avoid to pay credit cards. I don't know. I'm not positive. So pay your credit cards for the time being. Be responsible with them. And then we'll see what happens. It looks like Elon Musk may have been turned over. Go check out his tweets. I won't go into that now, but interesting. Okay, where can I get your supplements? You never tell us. You can get supplements from my office directly. That's what I'm telling you, okay? You can email me at gethealthy@drjasondean.com. I am always taking new patients. I am a very busy doctor right now. I worked around the clock today not around the clock, but from this morning to this afternoon. I was busy all day helping lots of people, both locally and around the country, and actually around the world now. We have people coming in from UK, Australia, etc. So Yes, I help people get better. I actually just had a person today who literally using what I use and taking what I told them to take, within 2 days, their whole life dramatically shifted. So that's, now not everyone's gonna be fixed in 2 days, and that person's not fixed in 2 days either, but that's how fast we can get the body working for you. Good. Let's see here. Two more questions. Okay. I will take this question, but you have to promise not to get mad at me. I do not like cannabis for several reasons. CBD, it can be good. I prefer. So this is my problem with CBD and cannabis. And I'm not opposed. If you want to use it, that's entirely up to you. I'm not saying it doesn't have therapeutic effects. What I don't like is I have lots of concerns on the cannabis industry, only because it's laced with so much stuff now, and so many people are not getting pure actual oil. And my other issue is that people who smoke it, one, don't know where it's coming from. And I have had people come in who had really bad problems because they were getting it from a source they didn't know. And the psychedelic aspect is not actually what is helping. So like the oil itself, like you can go get hemp oil that does the therapeutic effect. So yes, there's a endocannabinoid system in the brain. Totally. You can hit that with oil without the THC. The problem is I've had people come in who were taking oils, and we found out that the THC level was like 10 to 20, and it was completely off the charts, and it really messed them up. So I'm not saying that you're bad, or you can do whatever you want to. I have just seen too many cases come in where people had some harm with it, and you really, really need to, if you're going to play in the world of CBD oil, you must know your source. And when I say know your source, don't just say it's a company and they're a good company so they'll take care of me. No, you want to see their actual lab reports. Okay, I have a really good friend out of Missouri, Dr. Jason, and he understands exactly how this industry works, and he actually runs a charity for children with pediatric cancer, and he knows exactly how this stuff works. And when he tells me that, he can show me lab papers exactly from third-party officials showing you that it's clean. It is not psychoactive, and it actually is going to help a person therapeutically. Okay, so be very, very careful with it. It's so funny because every time I tell people the weed of today is not the weed of Woodstock days or weed of the 70s. All those people, and trust me, I'm sure my parents were involved as well. I have never smoked pot in my life, so I could not give you a valid review of it. I've never done a drug, so but I'm sure my parents and family and friends have done it. But the stuff in the 70s is not the stuff of 2020. That stuff is laced. That stuff is genetically modified. Now, I'm not saying all of it is. I'm just saying you have to know what you're getting, okay? So, again, that's why I want you to know, because the real power of all oils is not the psychedelic aspect. The real power is in the oil itself, okay? That goes to the brain, that feeds the brain, all right? So now I have a totally different opinion when it comes to people who are, say, in their 70s, 80s, 90s, and are towards the end of their life, and if they're having major neurological problems and they're not able to even function in life, if them going to get some sort of medicinal card to keep themselves from out of tremors and talking to their family and things like that, that's a totally different game. And that should be monitored by somebody in the medical world, somebody who knows what they're doing with it. That is an entirely different game, and I want the elderly population to be able to be calm and be able to communicate with their family as long as possible. So totally different viewpoint on that. I hope that helps. Good. Last question. One more question. Let's see here. Where am I? I am in Central Florida, Orlando area, Central Florida, north of Orlando. That's not the last question. I just wanted to answer that. Good. One last question. I'm not beating up on the marijuana people. That is not my intention. I'm just giving you my viewpoint and letting you know how my mind thinks. But I also, by the way, I also have a family history, not myself, a family history of many people who had very bad drug problems, and several of them actually committed suicide. So you are not going to get out of me a positive review for any type of drug. So if you're looking for that from me, that's not going to happen for me because I've just seen too much damage done. And I'm not saying it happens to everybody. I'm just saying that's my viewpoint because I've seen too many of my family members destroyed over everything from pot to heroin to you name it. So you're not going to get a positive drug story out of me. It just won't happen. Let's see. Last question. Body doubles. I'll answer the body doubles question. So just so you know, I had a link last night. I'll try to find it again. I'll post it, which was actually showing that every major politician and every major dictator as well from the last 100+ years all used body doubles, including Stalin, including Hitler, you name it. So it's so funny that last night I got beat up for the body double stuff, and I said, you know what? This has been happening forever. If you guys don't think body doubles have been happening, then you're just not looking hard enough, because that has always, I mean, Hillary Clinton, it's pretty well known that she has had one because she was a train wreck. So if you don't think Trump doesn't have one, come on. I didn't necessarily say clone. That's a whole other thing. It's possible there's clones, but I don't know that for sure. But there's definitely body doubles at least. And by the way, the reason I was saying that is if you don't think there's body doubles, just look what happened with the trade centers in 9/11. You had 3 buildings that were taken down by controlled demolition. And if you don't believe me, go onto YouTube and look at it. Building 7 was controlled demolition. And then if you look at building 1 and building 2, as the buildings were going down, you were seeing explosions come out of the windows from underneath. The only way that happens is controlled demolition. Buildings that tall do not come down in their own footprint. That just doesn't happen. So we were all tricked on 3 buildings coming down on September 11, 2001. If you don't think you're tricked on people in front of you on a camera being body doubles, it's not hard to do. They can do it, okay? Good. Now that I've set off the tirade of drugs and alcohol on my post, guys, I hope you have a wonderful night. I hope you appreciate this and got some value out of it. I appreciate all of you guys as well. Keep well, stay healthy. If you have questions or if you have health-related issues you need help with, get healthy at drjasondean.com. I'm actually very happy to help you. I take patients from all over the nation, all over the world at this point, and we will help you with whatever you need. And I will see you guys tomorrow night, 9:30. I'm going to go and get my family some rest and have a wonderful one. Dr. Jason Dean, Revolution Network, signing off. Have a wonderful night and go help somebody in need and serve them. Bye-bye.